Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Welcome to another session of your social science children. We have been seeing about the first empire lesson in your history, and in that we have seen various kings, Chandragupta Maurya and his son Bindusara, and then we were starting to see about Ashoka. Yes, Ashoka the Great. Yes, and in that we have seen how far Ashoka expanded his empire throughout the country from Kabul to Kanchipuram. Yes, and there we saw that one particular place, Kalinga, which is present day Odisha, did not come under Ashoka, come under the control of Ashoka. So they resisted Ashoka's empire to be expanded to their place. So there came a war. Yes, Ashoka sent a message to that Kalinga's king that he asked him to surrender to Ashoka, but that king again refused. So what happened? Ashoka led his army and he went directly to fight with this Kalinga, right? So now we are going to start this session with Ashoka's war of Kalinga. Yes, Battle of Kalinga. So this seems to be a very important battle in Ashoka's life because this changed his life completely. We are going to see what was that change. So people of Kalinga fought against Ashoka. They resisted to their maximum and they fought fiercely, but they were defeated by Ashoka's army. So they were very strong enough. With all their energy they fought against this Ashoka's army, but finally what happened? Ashoka's army won the battle and these people lost. So millions were wounded and killed. Millions of people on both the sides, Kalinga's side as well as Ashoka's side. Many people were wounded and many people were even killed. And after the battle, when Ashoka visited the battlefield, the sight at there horrified him. So after the battle was over, Ashoka was walking through the war field. Okay, the battlefield, when he was walking through, the sight he saw was completely horrifying him. He felt really bad about that sight. He felt very sad also. So what was that? Here you could see the war picture, yes, and you could see the head, human heads are being there, then here and there, and you could see Ashoka feeling bad about that war, yes. So the field was covered with dead soldiers. Many soldiers were dead and wounded soldiers who were crying out of pain. Yes, those who were having wound on their hand or head, wherever they had wound, they were crying out of their pain. And there were orphaned children and widows who were mourning their losses. Yes, mourning means feeling sad or crying. Okay. Feeling extremely sad. So the women who lost their husbands, the children who lost their fathers, they were crying extremely in the battlefield. So seeing all these things, Ashoka felt extremely bad about this war. Okay, Ashoka was appalled at the destruction and suffering caused by the war. So he felt extremely bad. He felt so sad about the thing that has happened. And he made a vow to never wage a war again. So at this point of time he decided, no, I am not going to go for any wars hereafter. He decided at this point of time, seeing all these things. So that is why this Kalinga war is called as a battle that changed Ashoka forever. Yes, then now we will see about Ashoka and Buddhism. How far Ashoka is related to Buddhism. So after this Kalinga war, after seeing many loss in lives, many wounded soldiers, all these things, Ashoka changed himself and decided that he is not going to fight anymore. So after that he started following the policy of Buddhism. So now we are going to see about that. So after the battle of Kalinga, Ashoka found comfort in the teachings of Buddha and began to practice ahimsa. So after this war, and when he decided that he is not going to fight a war anymore, then what he did, he found somewhere it is comfortable to hear the teachings of Buddha, and so he started to practice ahimsa. What is meant by ahimsa? Ahimsa is nothing but non-violence. Non-violence means not attacking or hurting anyone. Okay, that is called as non-violence. So Ashoka decided to follow this policy, and after that he gave up warfare and hunting. So he decided not to fight anymore. He also stopped hunting. Okay, so what are all the things he did? He became vegetarian so that he will stop killing the animals for food, then for sport and for sacrifice. Yes, so for all these things people were killing animals. So he wanted to stop all these things. So what he did, he turned out to be a vegetarian, and then he built stupas and viharas across the country. So all these are the monuments today in India. Right? He built many beautiful buildings such that in such a way that he would spread Buddhism. Then he traveled far and wide to spread the message of Buddhism. So he started traveling to various places so that he would spread this Buddhism. And then he also sent emissaries to far off places like Sri Lanka to spread the ideas of Buddhism. Emissary means messengers. Okay, so he sent messengers from his own kingdom to the other far places like Sri Lanka, so that they would again spread the messages about this Buddhism. Okay, so he sent his own family members also for this purpose. Then here you could see the stupa which is built by Ashoka in Sanchi. Okay, this is called as Sanchi stupa. Then so these Buddhist people, they formed a group together, and they would conduct meetings then and there. So the third Buddhist council was held at Ashoka's empire in his own capital. Yes, which was his capital? Pataliputra, which is Patna today. And though Ashoka was a staunch follower of Buddhism, he encouraged the people of his empire to follow their own religions. Staunch follower means strong follower. He believed Buddhism strongly. Okay, so he completely believed Buddhism, but he did not force anyone to follow Buddhism. He gave that freedom to his own people that they can follow the religion whichever they are comfortable with. Okay, so he did not force anyone to follow Buddhism. Then with that, we have come to the end of Ashoka and Buddhism. So how did he follow Buddhism? How did he change himself? All these we have seen. So now we are going to see about Ashoka's Dhamma. What is this Dhamma? We will see that. So Ashoka devoted the rest of his life to preach and practice Dhamma, a Prakrit word meaning religious duty. Dhamma is the path of Dharma, right? And that is called as religious duty. Okay, so he followed this policy, and then as a king he believed that yes, so in spite of following this Buddhism, in spite of stopping himself from entering into a war, yes, he did not want to go to war, everything happened, but again he realized that as a king it is my duty to take care of my people. Yes, like a father takes care of his children, right? As a father takes care of his own children, the same way a king has to take care of his subjects. So he decided that he will expand his kingdom through Dhamma Vijaya, which means conquest through Dhamma. That is, instead of going by war, he started conquering places through this Dhamma way. And Ashoka travelled all over the country to see for himself the living conditions of the people. So he wanted to know how people are living in his kingdom. So he started travelling throughout the country. He moved around the entire country. And then he also built roads and he planted trees along the sides of the roads. Okay, so he started building more roads. He started planting trees along the roads, and then he dug wells, and also he built rest houses wherein the people travel when they want to rest in some place. He built such rest houses, and then hospitals for the people and also for animals. So he started building hospitals. So he understood that after a war, medical facility will be required. So for that purpose, he started building hospitals, and even he built hospitals for animals. So how he would have got an idea to build hospital for animals? Because he was having a very big army. Yes, and in that army he had elephants, he had horses. So all those animals, when they were getting hurt in the war, he understood that even they need medication. So that is where he started building hospitals for animals also. And he appointed special officers called Dhamma Mahamathyas to spread the message of Dhamma throughout the empire. Okay, so they were in an important position, and those people were appointed to spread the message of Dhamma throughout the empire. Right? He appointed those special officers, and he asked his governors to be kind and not be impatient or violent with the people. So he always wanted his governors to be kind enough to the people. He did not want them to be strict or fearful or violent to the people of his own empire. And then for these reasons, Ashoka is regarded by many as one of the greatest kings who ruled over India. So that is why we call him as Ashoka the Great. Out of many kings who have ruled our country, we believe that Ashoka is one of the best among them. And the Mauryan Empire broke up after Ashoka's death in 232 BCE. So Ashoka died in 232 BCE, and after that, that was the downfall of Mauryan Empire. We will be reading about that in our next session. So now, but his ideal of united India lingered, as did his belief of non-violence. So he wanted India to be uniformly one country. In spite of all the divisions throughout the country, he wanted it to be united as one. Yes, and that continued to happen. And also his policy of non-violence. How was his non-violence policy prevalent in our country? Let us take after Ashoka's death, after many years of Ashoka's death, when independence war broke out, when British occupied our country, we followed the policy with the head of Gandhiji, the policy of non-violence, and with that Ahimsa policy, we got our independence. So almost 2000 years later, many Indians used the weapon of non-violence to get independence from the British. With this, we have come to the end of this session. See you soon in the next session with more information about Ashoka and also about the decline of Mauryan Empire. Thank you. To receive our online lessons, please press the subscribe button and you will receive the latest updates. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha.